Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that you are standing in the midst of a storm. The winds howl, the rain pours, and the chaos of the world around you threatens to swallow you whole. Yet, in the midst of this turmoil, there is a quiet space within you, one that remains untouched by the storm. Now, what if I told you that this storm is not something you can control, but your response to it is the key to finding your inner calm? Today, we are going to explore something deeply profound, the power of choosing your response, especially when faced with negativity, misunderstanding, or criticism. We'll dive into the truth that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every question deserves an answer. In a world where external forces often try to define us, there is a wisdom in knowing when to remain silent, when to protect your peace, and when to simply let go. This journey is not about avoidance. It is about empowerment. It's about choosing to honor your own truth, trusting that your worth does not need to be justified or explained to anyone. Together, we will uncover how to rise above the noise and find the strength to walk through life with grace, even in the face of adversity. So stay with me, because this message is not just about avoiding conflict. It's about tapping into the deep well of peace within you and choosing the path of inner strength and serenity, no matter what the world throws your way. Let's begin this empowering journey together. Humans often find themselves in the midst of internal struggles, a constant battle between their higher ideals and the darker, more primal aspects of their nature. These inner conflicts can take many forms, including fear, insecurity, guilt, and temptation. Yet as these struggles remain unseen by the outside world, they can often manifest in how we interact with others. Sometimes when dealing with people who exhibit anger, bitterness, or negativity, one might feel as though they are facing not just a person, but an entity or a force beyond simple human emotion. A demon that seems to possess the individual. These inner demons are not literal supernatural beings, but rather the psychological and emotional forces that shape our behavior. They stem from unresolved issues, past traumas, personal failures, or an inability to cope with the complexities of life. Often, these struggles are so deeply embedded within a person that they are unaware of how their emotions are controlling them. It is at this point that we begin to interact with people who seem to be ruled by these darker forces. People whose actions and words are dominated by bitterness, resentment, or self-righteousness. When encountering such individuals, one may feel as though they are in the presence of something irrational and deeply entrenched. It is easy to mistake these outward behaviors as simply being the result of bad character or bad intentions. However, it is more productive to recognize that the negativity in others often stems from their unresolved inner conflicts. In this light, their harsh words, defensive posture, or accusatory behavior may not be personal attacks, but rather an outward reflection of their internal turmoil. These individuals may not even realize that their actions are being dictated by these internal demons. Their anger, frustration, and defensiveness often come from feelings of inadequacy, fear, or emotional pain they have not yet addressed. Understanding this dynamic can lead to a shift in how we approach such people. Instead of reacting to their negativity with the same defensive energy, we may begin to see them not as enemies or antagonists, but as individuals caught in their own internal battles. The negativity they express is not truly directed at us, but rather at the emotional turmoil they are experiencing. It is a projection, a way for them to externalize their pain, frustration, or confusion. Recognizing this helps us not to take their words personally and to avoid getting caught in the cycle of defending ourselves against something that isn't truly about us. In this way, we can develop a deeper sense of compassion and understanding, realizing that the demons people face within themselves are just as real as any external obstacle. By seeing them not as adversaries, but as individuals struggling with their own internal chaos, We can approach the situation with patience, empathy, and, most importantly, a sense of detachment. It is this detachment that allows us to interact with others without becoming entangled in their personal demons, which frees us from the need to explain ourselves or justify our actions in the face of irrational hostility. Instead of engaging with their inner turmoil, we can choose to focus on our own growth and peace. Attempting to explain or justify oneself to someone consumed by bitterness, anger, or negativity often leads to a futile and frustrating exercise. These individuals are not interested in hearing your side of the story. Rather, they are trapped within their own emotional turmoil, and their perceptions of you are clouded by their internal struggles. No matter how articulate or reasonable your explanation may be, it is unlikely to pierce the shield of their defensiveness. They may twist your words, misunderstand your intentions, or dismiss your efforts outright. This is because their response is driven not by a desire for understanding, but by their own unresolved issues and emotional wounds. In many cases, these individuals are not seeking a genuine conversation, but are simply looking for someone to blame, or a way to channel their frustrations. When you attempt to explain yourself to them, you may find that the more you speak, the more entrenched they become in their negativity. The cycle of explaining, defending, and trying to clarify your position only serves to reinforce their belief that they are right and that you are somehow at fault. This is the inherent danger in engaging with people who are driven by their demons. They are not capable of seeing beyond their own emotional perspective, and any attempt to make them see things differently can seem like a threat to their self-constructed reality. They may not be able to hear you because their emotions are too loud, their insecurities too overpowering. Moreover, the act of justifying yourself often places you in a vulnerable position. You are giving away pieces of your inner self, exposing your thoughts and feelings in an attempt to appease someone who is not capable of appreciating your honesty. This opens the door for further misunderstanding, manipulation, or even exploitation. The more you explain yourself, the more you risk revealing your own vulnerabilities, which can be used against you later. In a situation where the other party is acting from a place of emotional distress or even malice, your explanations become nothing more than fuel for further the conflict. There is also a psychological cost to constantly defending oneself. It can wear you down, drain your energy, and distract you from what truly matters. When you are caught in an endless loop of justification, you lose sight of your own values and principles. Your focus shifts from maintaining your own peace and integrity to trying to prove something to someone who is not receptive to reason. This not only depletes your emotional resources, but also undermines your self-confidence, as you begin to question whether you are truly in the wrong when faced with such relentless opposition. In essence, explaining yourself to people who are entrenched in their own demons is a losing battle. It rarely leads to reconciliation or understanding, and more often than not, it leaves you feeling drained, misunderstood, and frustrated. The effort to justify yourself is better spent elsewhere, on those who are willing to engage with you in good faith and who have the emotional capacity to hear and respect your perspective. Trying to convince someone entrenched in their own negativity only entangles you further in their emotional chaos. The real freedom lies in recognizing the futility of such explanations and choosing instead to protect your peace and integrity. Silence, often underestimated in its power, can be one of the most effective tools when dealing with individuals who are dominated by their internal struggles or emotional turmoil. In situations where one is confronted by anger, bitterness, or unnecessary conflict, responding with silence can be more than just a neutral stance. It can be a deliberate act of strength. Silence conveys a message of self-control and confidence, signaling that you are not drawn into the drama or negativity that the other person is trying to provoke. It's an unspoken refusal to participate in the cycle of argument or explanation that typically leads nowhere. When you refuse to engage verbally, you avoid feeding into the emotions of the other person. Many conflicts are fueled by emotional reactions. whether that be defensiveness, resentment, or even the need to win the argument. By remaining silent, you take away the emotional ammunition that they need to continue the interaction. In this way, silence becomes a powerful shield, protecting your own emotional state and preventing the other person from dragging you into their mental and emotional chaos. Instead of responding to insults, accusations, or harsh words, you choose to protect your peace, refusing to let the negativity infiltrate your mind and soul. In addition to its protective power, silence allows for clarity. When we are caught up in a heated exchange or trying to justify ourselves, our thoughts can become clouded, and our words may not reflect our true intentions. In moments of tension, it is easy to react impulsively, saying things in the heat of the moment that we may later regret. By remaining silent, we give ourselves the space to process the situation, to choose our responses carefully, or even to recognize that no response is necessary at all. This moment of pause can also give the other person the opportunity to reflect on their own words and behavior, possibly leading to self-awareness that wouldn't have come from further argument. Moreover, silence can be a way of asserting boundaries. It demonstrates that you will not allow your time, energy, or peace of mind to be drained by individuals who are not open to constructive dialogue. People who are entrenched in their own demons often seek to dominate conversations, dictate narratives, or manipulate emotions. By choosing not to engage, you send a strong message that you will not be a part of that dynamic. You do not need to defend yourself against accusations that are grounded in the other person's emotional state. Nor do you need to explain yourself to someone who refuses to listen. This approach requires a great deal of self-discipline. It takes strength to remain calm and composed, especially when provoked. However, the long-term benefits of silence far outweigh the temporary discomfort it may cause. Instead of wasting time trying to convince someone whose mind is already made up, you preserve your own energy for things that truly matter. You maintain your dignity and integrity by not engaging in unnecessary conflict, and in doing so, you rise above the emotional noise around you. Silence, then, is not a sign of weakness or submission, but rather a powerful expression of self-respect and emotional intelligence. When dealing with individuals who are consumed by their own internal struggles, one of the most important things to avoid is reacting emotionally. Engaging with someone who is driven by anger, bitterness, or negativity can easily provoke a strong emotional response from you, but it is crucial to resist the temptation to mirror their behavior. Emotional reactions are often the fuel that keeps conflict alive. And by allowing yourself to become emotionally entangled, you only serve to perpetuate the cycle of negativity. Instead of rising to the bait, maintaining emotional composure is key to diffusing the tension and preserving your own peace. The first step in avoiding emotional reactions is recognizing the source of the negativity. Often when people lash out or behave in a way that feels personal, their actions are not truly about you. They are reflections of their own inner turmoil. When someone expresses frustration or resentment, it is often not directed at you, but at something much deeper: unresolved issues, personal insecurities, or emotional pain. By understanding that their behavior is an expression of their own struggles, it becomes easier to distance yourself emotionally. You begin to see their actions as a reflection of their inner chaos rather than as a personal attack. Another crucial element of avoiding emotional reactions is cultivating self-awareness. When you find yourself in a tense or emotionally charged situation, take a step back and pause before reacting. Give yourself a moment to assess the situation, to consider whether your response is based on your own values or whether it is simply a knee-jerk reaction to the other person's behavior. This pause allows you to respond more thoughtfully rather than impulsively. The more aware you become of your emotional triggers, the better you can manage your responses. You can choose not to engage in an argument that will only serve to escalate the situation. You can also recognize when silence is the more effective choice, avoiding a reaction that would only feed the fire. It is also important to understand the power of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. Rather, it is the ability to separate yourself emotionally from a situation so that you don't get caught in the emotional storm. When you detach from the need to win the argument or to prove your point, you regain control of your emotional state. You are no longer at the mercy of the other person's emotional manipulation or provocation. This detachment is a form of emotional resilience where you choose not to let external circumstances dictate your mood or peace of mind. Finally, the act of avoiding emotional reactions is an act of self-preservation. Reacting emotionally to negativity drains your energy, damages your peace of mind, and leaves you feeling unsettled. By maintaining emotional composure, you protect your mental and emotional well-being. You refuse to allow someone else's demons to control your thoughts or reactions. This not only preserves your emotional health, but also sets a boundary that tells the other person that you will not be dragged into their emotional chaos. Your ability to stay calm and composed serves as a silent yet powerful statement of self-respect and strength. Recognizing that everyone is grappling with their own personal struggles can fundamentally change the way we approach conflicts and difficult interactions. Each person, regardless of how they present themselves on the outside, is navigating their own set of challenges, whether they are emotional, psychological, or situational. These struggles are often hidden from view, making it easy to overlook the fact that the behaviors we find frustrating in others may be a reflection of their unresolved issues, not just an attempt to attack or hurt us. When we understand that people act out of their own pain, it becomes easier to detach from the need. This understanding can be especially enlightening when we encounter people whose actions seem to come from a place of malice or bitterness. Instead of viewing them as inherently bad or evil, we can begin to see them as individuals trapped in their own emotional turmoil. The person who lashes out in anger may be doing so because they are dealing with feelings of inadequacy or insecurity. The person who projects negativity might be struggling with deep-seated fears or past trauma. These reactions are not necessarily a reflection of their true character, but rather a manifestation of the inner demons they are facing. This shift in perspective can help us respond with compassion rather than resentment when confronted with negative behavior. This does not mean that we must excuse or tolerate harmful behavior, but it does allow us to recognize that beneath the surface, the person is human and is likely experiencing their own pain. By acknowledging this, we can choose to respond in a more understanding way without falling into the trap of emotional reactivity. Instead of reacting defensively or with anger, we can approach the situation with empathy, realizing that the person's actions are driven by factors beyond their control. This understanding allows us to separate their behavior from our own sense of self-worth, helping us avoid unnecessary conflict. Another important aspect of recognizing the human condition in others is understanding that our responses to negative behavior can influence the way the other person reacts. If we meet hostility with compassion and calm, we may provide them with an opportunity to reflect on their actions and begin to shift their behavior. People often act out of habit or conditioning, and sometimes the simple act of responding with empathy rather than anger can break the cycle of negativity. While we cannot control how others behave, we can control how we respond, and our responses can influence the dynamics of the interaction. Furthermore, recognizing that everyone has their own struggles helps us to set realistic expectations for others. We cannot expect everyone to behave in a perfectly rational or emotionally balanced way all the time. Life's challenges can weigh heavily on individuals, causing them to act out in ways that are not reflective of their true nature. This awareness can cultivate patience and tolerance, allowing us to let go of unrealistic expectations and accept that people are doing the best they can with the tools and experiences they have. In the end, recognizing the human condition in others enables us to respond with a greater sense of understanding, compassion, and patience. It helps us maintain our peace and avoid being drawn into unnecessary conflict. By realizing that everyone is dealing with their own struggles, we can engage with others in a more meaningful and empathetic way, focusing on connection rather than confrontation. Knowing when to stop explaining yourself is an essential aspect of maintaining self-respect and emotional well-being. It is easy to get caught in the trap of constantly justifying your actions, thoughts, and decisions, especially when faced with criticism or misunderstanding. However, there comes a point where continuing to explain yourself becomes not only unnecessary, but also detrimental to your own peace and integrity. Recognizing this boundary is crucial for preserving your mental and emotional health, as well as asserting the respect you deserve from others. When someone continuously demands explanations or seeks to invalidate your actions, it can quickly become an exhausting cycle. You might feel pressured to defend yourself, clarify your intentions, or prove your worth, but the reality is that this kind of dialogue rarely leads to genuine understanding. In many cases, individuals who are fixated on questioning or criticizing you are not interested in hearing your side of the story. Their behavior is often rooted in their own unresolved issues, insecurities, or personal biases, rather than a genuine desire for clarity. Therefore, continuing to justify yourself only fuels the cycle of conflict without bringing about any meaningful resolution. Instead of achieving understanding, it becomes an emotional tug-of-war that drains your energy and leaves you feeling misunderstood or unheard. This is where setting boundaries becomes crucial. Recognizing when it is time to stop explaining yourself is an act of self-preservation. It is a way of asserting that your time, energy, and peace of mind are valuable. You do not need to justify every decision, every choice, or every aspect of your life to others, especially when they are not open to receiving that explanation in a fair or empathetic manner. People who continually demand explanations may be trying to manipulate, control, or undermine you, and engaging in these kinds of exchanges only gives them power over your emotional state. By stepping back and choosing not to engage further, you regain control of the situation and protect yourself from unnecessary emotional strain. In addition to preserving your peace, stopping the explanation process is a form of respect for both yourself and the other person. It shows that you value your own emotional health and are not willing to sacrifice it for the sake of someone else's need for validation or control. It is also a way of recognizing that you cannot change someone's mind if they are not willing to listen. If an individual refuses to accept your point of view, no amount of explanation will alter their perception. Continuing to argue or justify yourself in such circumstances is futile and only serves to perpetuate a sense of frustration and dissatisfaction on both sides. Moreover, the act of stopping your explanations can be empowering. It signals that you trust in your decisions and your understanding of the situation. You are no longer looking for external validation or approval. Instead, you are grounded in your own beliefs and choices. This confidence in your own sense of self can lead to greater clarity and strength, allowing you to navigate difficult situations with a sense of peace and dignity. In the end, knowing when to stop explaining yourself is a vital skill in maintaining boundaries and preserving self-respect. It prevents unnecessary emotional exhaustion, protects your mental health, and empowers you to take control of how you engage with others. When you stop explaining yourself, you are not abandoning the conversation or the relationship. You are simply choosing to preserve your own peace, recognizing that some battles are not worth fighting, and that some people may never be capable of truly understanding your perspective. In conclusion, understanding when to stop explaining yourself to individuals who are trapped in their own internal struggles is a powerful tool for maintaining your emotional peace, self-respect, and overall well-being. Recognizing that the negativity in others often stems from their unresolved issues allows us to detach emotionally, respond with compassion, and avoid unnecessary conflict. By refusing to engage in endless justification or emotional exchanges, we protect ourselves from the drain of energy and frustration, choosing instead to preserve our inner peace and focus on what truly matters. Silence, detachment, and patience become not just survival mechanisms, but acts of strength and self-care in the face of negativity. As you move forward in your interactions, remember that your worth is not defined by others' opinions or the need to explain yourself to those who are not open to understanding. Trust in your decisions, your boundaries, and your ability to protect your peace. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on this message, and may you find the strength to embrace these principles in your daily life. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for your openness and willingness to grow. Stay strong and stay true to yourself.